Welcome to the Sacred Feminine Academy. I'm Daniele Della Valle, and this is Boundaries and Creativity. During this presentation, we'll be talking about boundaries, unlocking creativity, shutting out the world, cutting distractions, and giving yourself space. Boundaries. Are you setting them? Boundaries are guidelines, rules, or limits that a person creates to identify reasonable, safe, and permissible ways for other people to behave towards them and how they will respond when someone passes those limits. They're built out of a mix of conclusions, beliefs, opinions, attitudes, past experiences, and social learning. According to some counselors, personal boundaries help to define an individual by outlining likes and dislikes and setting the distances one allows others to approach. They include physical, mental, psychological, and spiritual boundaries involving beliefs, emotions, intuitions, and self-esteem. Jacques Lacan considered such boundaries to be layered in a hierarchy, reflecting all the successive envelopes of the biological and social status of the person. Personal boundaries operate in two directions, affecting both the incoming and outgoing interactions between people. These are sometimes referred to as the protection and containment functions. Unlocking creativity. Protect yourself. When we have too many loose boundaries and not enough protection or confinement, we'll be filled with emotional noise and unable to tap into our creative self. We are all creative, but what are we giving our energy to? How can you be creative if your head or space is unorganized with the chaos of the world around you? When we think about unlocking creativity, this is the difference between having protection and having confinement, or having chaos and the types of things that really disrupt you from being creative. Protection of yourself is being able to block out any external influences that are going to inhibit you from being able to focus on the things that are important to you in terms of your creativity. Creativity can come from contentious spaces. Obviously, when we have a sort of percolator that wants us to have an external definement, we can find creativity in that. That's going to be that you see that there is something lacking in a specific environment and you are like, oh, I see that there can be potential there or a change. And that is a creative or innovative pursuit. Creativity is often thought to only be artistic, but that is not the case. Creativity is being able to see outside of the box or the norm of behavior. So creativity could be that you organize your space, or creativity could be that you work on a project that is different from what most people are doing. It's not something that is drilled, driven, taught to you, and then you're supposed to copy and regurgitate similar information. Creativity is anything outside what has been taught on the day-to-day. So thinking about creativity, it's very important to realize that we have to have boundaries in order for our creativity to thrive. If we are allowing other people or other things to draw and drain our energy, we will have an immense difficulty trying to be creative. Shutting out the world. Give yourself permission. As women, often we believe it is unfair, rude, too much, extra, or bitchy to ask for space. The reality is that the people that encroach on your freedom are actually all of those aforementioned things. When people don't respect your boundaries, they are people who don't respect you. And they also don't know how to treat you until you teach them how to treat you. And so making declarations is important. Tell people how to treat you and tell them what you need them to do to give you space and to love you properly. If they're uncomfortable with that, it's not your responsibility to teach them at that point, but it is your fault for teaching them bad habits and allowing them previously to learn that you have no boundaries. You have to rectify your newfound self and don't make exceptions. So if you want to move forward, you have to be able to disrupt the loop in the narrative that was in that exchange or in that relationship before. And it's going to be contentious and uncomfortable until you find a new groove. But you have to stake your claim, you have to put your foot down, and you have to set boundaries. Cutting out distractions. If you're spending too much time absorbing the content of others, you won't know who you are. You're allowing yourself to be too heavily influenced by other people. You have to go deep within and remove distractions to find yourself. The world will not end if you take a break from consuming content and find things that inspire you in a healthy way. It's always uncomfortable to detach from our creature comforts, but that is where we find creativity and innovation, because then for the first time we can hear our own voice. We so often are driven by the obsession and expectation of society, but then that just keeps you in a prison and you're not able to access your own mind, your own thoughts, your own passions, and the things that make you who you are. The only people that ever truly stand out in the world are the ones that change the game, the rule breakers, the ones that are the unruly women that you can look back in history and realize that they stood out because they did something different. And you might think, well, what if what I want to do has already been done or someone else is already doing it? It's always going to be different because it's through your lens, your bias, and your experience. So it's never going to be the same. But unless you cut distractions and you cut out the influence of other people, you'll never be able to find your true voice or to be able to find the things that make you truly yourself and truly creative. Inspiration. If you live your life to please everyone else, you will continue to feel frustrated and powerless. This is because what others want may not be good for you. You're not being mean when you say no to unreasonable demands or when you express your ideas, feelings, and opinions, even if they differ from those of others. Beverly Engel is trying to teach you that it is not bad for you to say no and do the things that you want to do. As women, we are taught to be sweet, meek, and understanding, but that is what creates a powerless mind. That is what brainwashes you to continue to buy shit that you don't need, to continue to allow people to encroach on your happiness and your boundaries, to allow people to completely take control over your life, and to totally distract you from the things that you're meant to be doing. And lastly, give yourself space. Allow yourself to just be. Think about, when was the last time you allowed yourself to just be, to just exist, not forcing thought, not living obsessively in your head, not thinking you're going to be or currently are judged. When was the last time you just enjoyed a day for being a day and gave zero fucks about the rest of the world? When was the last time you just gave yourself space to exist with zero distractions, including yourself? Really take some time to think about, what are you allowing to take from your life, your energy, your purpose, all of the things that you want and are meant to do in this life. What are you allowing to take from your soul? Because clearly you're not giving yourself enough benefit of understanding that you were meant for great things, that you were meant to break the cycle of generational trauma. You were meant to decolonize your mind and live in a space that is truly who you are. Who are you at your core? Not what society dictated of you, not what your parents and friends and colleagues reinforced. None of this bullshit. What is real? What is truly, truly inside of you that you know to be true, that isn't just you trying to make other people happy? Really give yourself some space to think about it. Thank you so much for listening to this module, and we'll see you in the next course.